SENApprops.
That's right. Thank you. Save you from everything today by just doing one.
You're doing, your due pass recommendation is SB 64.
Yes.
Please proceed.
Thank you. This bill requires the California Transportation Commission to review updates to the California Transportation Plan and prepare specific recommendations to improve the statewide integrated multimodal transportation system, including high occupancy vehicles, passenger rail, bus service, and other travel modes. This bill is a follow-up to SB 391, which I authored in 2009. And that bill required updates to the California Transportation Plan to address how the state will meet its transportation infrastructure and mobility needs while also achieving greenhouse gas reduction targets. The California Transportation Plan is a statewide long-range transportation strategy that guides transportation decisions and investments, and the plan is updated every 5 years. Pressure on the statewide transportation system will increase with an increasing population and housing and business growth. At the same time, the state must find ways to reduce greenhouse gases and keep people and goods moving. Currently, the plan provides a wide range of general recommendations. SB requires the CTC to make more focused, specific recommendations to the legislature and the governor. This specific list will help legislators author bills and make policy changes to achieve statewide policy goals. There is no opposition, and I ask for your support on the bill.
Thank you. Witnesses in support. Please come forward.
Olivia Regalia with Sierra Club California in support.
Thank you. Witnesses in opposition. Please come forward. Seeing none, comments or questions from the committee. There's a motion by Senator Bell. Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Lara?
Aye.
Lara, aye. Bates? Bell? Bell, aye. Hill? Hill, aye. Leyva? Mendoza? Mendoza, aye. Nielsen?
4-0, we'll keep this item open.
Thank you very much, members.
Thank you. We are, okay. If Sergeants can please call Senator Leno, Senator Roth, and Senator Pan. We are gonna move to those items that have been waived. So for the folks that are here to speak in support or in opposition, please move forward as your bill is being called. We want to go through these as quickly as possible. And members, I'm going to assume that you don't have questions, but if you do, flag me down. I'm going to try to move as quickly as possible, starting with SB 377 by Senator Bell. Witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Finance is not here, so without objection, we'll move this item to suspense file. SB 483, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this bill to the suspense file. SB 513, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to the suspense file. Moving to SB 19, Senator Wolk. Witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to the suspense file. SB 367, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Seeing none, without objection, we move this item to the suspense file. SB 543, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to the suspense file. SB 26, Senator Hernandez. Witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to the suspense file. SB 243, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to the suspense file. SB 425, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to suspense file. SB 503, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to suspense file. SB 32, Senator Pavley, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to suspense file. SB 471, witnesses in support. Please come forward.
Briefly, Mr. Chair and members. Rod Brewer for Southern California Edison here in support.
Thank you.
Olivia Regalia with Sierra Club California in support.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to a suspense file. Moving to SB 507, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to a suspense file. Moving to SB 38, Senator Liu. Witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to a suspense file. SB 123, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to a suspense file. SB 192, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to suspense file. SB 403, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to suspense file. SB 499, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Please come forward.
Good afternoon. Carlos Machado with California School Boards Association. We ask that the committee consider the costs associated with the expansion of collective bargaining that this bill poses for LEAs. We're concerned that by incorporating the standards into that bargaining situation, that it could increase costs associated with lengthening the negotiations and also with impasses. We're also concerned about the impact that LEAs may have with respect to the requirements that the bill imposes upon LEAs and what they can do with teachers that simply cannot provide students with the outcomes that the district demands. And we're also concerned about the costs associated with the training and calibration of staff. And for those reasons, we must oppose the bill and ask that the committee consider those issues when it considers the bill on suspense.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Additional witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to suspense file. SB 527, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to suspense file. SB 567, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to suspense file. SB 48, Senator Hill, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to suspense file. SB 369, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to suspense file. SB 466, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to suspense file. SB 681, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to suspense file. SB 759, Anderson, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to suspense file. SB 131, Senator Canella, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to suspense file. SB 149, Senator Stone, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to suspense file. SB 737, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to suspense file. SB 152, Senator Vidak, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to suspense file. SB 497, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to suspense file. SB 736, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to a suspense file. Moving on to SB 162, Senator Galgiani. Witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to a suspense file. SB 210, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to suspense file. SB 333, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to a suspense file. SB 372, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to suspense file. SB 231, Senator Gaines, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to suspense file. SB 605, witnesses in support.
Danielle Kando-Kaiser on behalf of Lake Tahoe Community College District in support.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to a suspense file. Moving on to SB 239, Senator Hertzberg. Witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection. 239. Are you in support? Opposition. Opposition. Please come forward.
It's our concern that the impact to auto mutual aid contracts for fire districts throughout the state of California would be a huge impact. We strongly oppose 239. Steve McNamara, North Tahoe Fire Protection District.
Thank you.
Kara Uweda of Best Best and Krieger on behalf of California Association of LAFCOs in opposition to this bill as an unnecessary and inexpensive cost on both state and local governments.
Jim McDonald, the California Special Districts Association, in opposition.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in opposition on this measure. Without objection, we move the item to suspense file. SB 306, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we'll move this item to suspense file. SB 405, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to suspense file. SB 550, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to a suspense file. SB 742, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we'll move this item to a suspense file. We see Senator Leno's here. Senator Leno, you have several items that are candidate for suspense. My understanding is you're going to present on SB 763. Is that correct?
Yes, and waive on 6 other bills.
Perfect.
Hope that's worth something.
Appreciate that. Senator Leno, the floor is yours.
So thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. You may remember last year, with the support of this committee, we were able to get a bill signed by the governor which now requires a label on upholstered furniture that will inform consumers as they are making their consumer choices which of these upholstered furniture products have flame retardants in them and which do not. It's about informed choice, letting the free market work. This bill is modeled after that, and it deals with a number of juvenile and infant products like bassinets and cribs and strollers to, again, let consumers know whether or not these products have flame retardants in them. Let the consumer make up his or her own mind. The enforcement of the bill has been modeled on the previous bill to build on existing procedures to keep costs down. The Bureau has reported that the Bureau of Home Furnishings, which oversees these products, has reported that they will be able to implement the bill through existing enforcement activities with only minor costs. And with regard to the comments on page 3 of the analysis, we are very happy to work with the committee to further define what juvenile products will include. And that's a wise thing, and I'm sure we'll be able to work that out with you.
Thank you, Senator Leno. Witnesses in support.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Christy Valmer representing the California Professional Firefighters. Please just be in support of the bill. Any consumer choice that reduces toxic materials in the environment just reduces the hazardous exposure risk to my members, lower workers' compensation costs, fewer job-related illnesses contracted on the job. We urge your moving this bill off suspense when the time comes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, members, my name is Aaron Lewis with the Consumer Federation of California, one of the co-sponsors of the bill. The bill will allow consumers and parents to make informed purchasing choices on products that directly impact their family's health. Without a label indicating the presence of flame retardant chemicals, consumers are not able to send market signals based on their purchasing preferences. And consumers now more than ever have a wealth of information available to them through the internet and other sources. They expect and demand transparent information and they want to spend their money on safe and trusted products. Their spending is inhibited and frustrated when they're not able to, when they don't have information on which to base purchasing decisions that concern their family's health. We think this is a very important bill for consumers' right to know, and we ask for your support. Thank you.
Additional witnesses in support.
Sylvia Solis-Shaw on behalf of the City and County of San Francisco and the Office of Mayor Ed Lee in strong support. We believe that families should know whether the products they purchase for their children contain these chemicals, and this bill would do it in a manner that is clear and in a clear and uniform manner for consumers. So we ask for your support. Thank you.
My name is Alvaro Casanova. I'm with the Center for Environmental Health, and we vote for your support on removing this bill from suspense. And also on behalf of the California Water Action and Californians for a Healthy and Green Economy, we vote for your support, please.
Thank you.
Mark Pedroia, Santa Rosa Firefighters, in support.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Additional witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition, please come forward.
Hi, Mike Robeson here on behalf of the American Chemistry Council, and just strictly on the fiscal aspect of the bill, we're not sure if it doesn't. I guess I'd concur with the comments in the analysis that indicate that the Bureau is currently underfunded right now. They're structurally insolvent, and while there's a fee increase bill moving through the legislature right now, it's not really clear from based on that bill whether the fee increase contemplated in that bill is going to actually cover the cost of implementing Senator Leno's bill from last year. So as we see, this bill is only going to add further fiscal pressures on the Bureau, and especially to reimburse the Department of Toxics for their testing protocols. As we understand it, again, and this is how we understand it, is that the Department of Toxics and the Bureau are going to work out some sort of an interagency agreement that will explain what their testing will be, and until that's on the current bill, on the current law that Senator Leno has already successfully passed, that until that interagency agreement's worked out and we know what the full cost of implementation of last year's bill is, it'd be really premature to implement this bill. So, and then again, Senator Leno noted that there's comments in the analysis on just some strict policy issues that really should be addressed, and we would recommend that be dealt with. Thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Randy Pollock on behalf of the Juvenile Products Manufacturers Association. We're currently in an opposed position. We see the fiscal impacts on this bill, but we also just want to raise that we think one way that we could reduce the cost is the way the bill is currently set up, that all products have to be labeled, and then there's a checkoff whether it contains flame retardant or it doesn't contain flame retardant. We'd like to see a label that says this product contains flame retardant. We believe that would reduce the cost. We believe there's a lot of public knowledge already out there about flame retardants, and we believe that would remove the concerns both for businesses that there's a significant cost about labeling their products. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Chris McKaylee on behalf of the Civil Justice Association of California. We're opposed on policy grounds.
Great, thank you. Great tie. Any additional comments from the opposition? Comments or questions from the committee? Seeing none, Senator Leno, would you like to close?
Thank you. Just very briefly on one of the comments. The reason that we do think the product should say, yes, this does contain a flame retardant, or no, it does not contain a flame retardant, is for fiscal purposes. If it just had it saying one or the other, it would take the Bureau to have to go out and test products. That's going to increase the cost to the state significantly. So just as with the earlier bill, very simply, yes or no. Consumer will know, and we'll work with you as the bill goes to suspense.
Thank you. Without objection, we'll move this item to suspense file. Thank you, Senator Leno. Members, we're going to go back to the items that have been waived, have waived presentation, beginning with SB 246, Senator Wojciechowski. Witnesses in support, please come forward.
Olivia Regalia with Sierra Club, California, in support.
Thank you. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we'll move this item to suspense file. SB 249, Senator Wesso. Witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Please come forward.
Danielle Kando-Kaiser on behalf of EFF, Electronic Frontier Foundation, and the Privacy Rights Clearinghouse in opposition.
Thank you. Without objection, we'll move this item to a suspense file. SB 603, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we'll move this item to suspense file. SB 722, Senator Bates. Witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we'll move this item to suspense file. Moving to SB 329, Senator Mendoza. Witnesses in support.
Mr. Chair, and Senator Seth Bramble here on behalf of the California Teachers Association, proud to co-sponsor this important legislation, here to speak on the fiscal impact, which is in the millions, savings, not costs. We do appreciate the work of the committee staff, and just want to add that requiring competitive bidding in charter schools means we obtain goods and services at the lowest prices, which does represent substantial savings. Several proposals in the last several years have made it clear that we do have a serious problem with defining the capacity of an authorizer to do effective oversight. The lack of oversight has resulted in fraud, waste, and abuse of tax dollars, $81 million to date in this state already documented from the charter school environment, and a projection of an additional $100 million in 2015 alone. A report put out by ACE, the Center for Popular Democracy and Public Advocates, in March of this year documents this fact. I do have copies for each of you. that I've given to the sergeant to distribute, and the savings to the state associated with Senate Bill 329 through improved oversight is desperately needed. We look forward to working with the committee to move this proposal off of suspense. Thank you.
Thank you. Witnesses in opposition of the measure? Without objection, we move this item to suspense file. SB 760, witnesses in support?
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members. Doug Houston with the Watershed Conservation Authority. We are sponsors of this measure, and we do acknowledge that there are some potential conflicts associated with the definition of disadvantaged communities contained in the bill, and hope to work with the committee to reconcile those and get this off of suspense. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Olivia Regalia with Sierra Club, California, in support.
Thank you. Witnesses in opposition? Without objection, we'll move this item to suspense file. Senator Pan, you have you are waiving presentation on your measures, and you're presenting on SB 574.
Correct. Yes, thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members. SB 574 is a measure that will bring transparency and accountability to UC investments made in private companies by disclosing information that UC promised the California legislature that they would disclose. In 2005, the UC promised to the legislature under SB 439 by Senator Simidian that the UC would disclose fund-by-fund performance for its venture capital investments. That bill was carefully crafted to preserve the public's right to know about the performance of public investments and also enable public pension funds to continue investing in alternative investments. UC itself recognized in 2005 that fund-by-fund disclosure of performance information would not jeopardize its ability to invest in venture capital funds. Therefore, SB 574 would not put the UC at risk of losing investments. This bill would also not get UC involved in litigation because the contracts which are entered into between public pension funds and venture capital firms always give the public pension funds a right to performance information. Therefore, UC will not experience any litigation costs. SB 574 would close the UC investment disclosure loophole that has allowed the UC regents to forego their responsibility to be transparent and accountable without any litigation costs or risk of losing investments. Thank you.
Thank you. Witnesses in support?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Jim Ebert with the California Newspaper Publishers Association. Just to reiterate what Dr. Pan said, we are aware that the contract between UC and the two investment partners that it has with respect to the information being sought by this bill do allow the UC to access that information. They choose not to. So the number that they've come up with to litigate the cost associated with obtaining this information we think is questionable. We urge an aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition?
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members. Jason Murphy on behalf of the University of California. We do stand by our original estimate of the $500,000 cost for litigation. The material that we believe the sponsors are seeking here is material that we don't currently have. We see no other way to secure that information than to file a lawsuit.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in opposition of the measure. Comments or questions from committee? Senator Pan, would you like to close?
Thank you for your consideration. I look forward to working with you with this bill and get it off the suspense file. Thank you.
Thank you. Without objection, we'll move this item to the suspense file. Members, we're going to go back and work the file on those items that members have waived presentation, beginning with Senator SB 289, Senator Mitchell. Witnesses in support? Witnesses in opposition? Without objection, we move this item to suspense file. SB 317, Senator De Leon. Witnesses in support? Please come forward.
Olivia Regalia with Sierra Club, California, in support.
Witnesses in opposition? Without objection, we move this item to suspense file. SB 350, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition? Without objection, we move this item to suspense file. SB 409, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition? Without objection, we move this item to suspense file. SB 548, witnesses in support. Please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, Mitch Seaman with the California Labor Federation, proud to sponsor this bill and urge your support at the appropriate time.
Thank you. Witnesses in opposition? Without objection, we move this item to suspense file. Next, we are moving to SB 322, Senator Leno. Witnesses in support? Witnesses in opposition? Without objection, we'll move this item to suspense file. SB 441, Witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to suspense file. SB 546. Witnesses in support. Please come forward.
Mitch Seaman with the California Labor Federation, also proud to sponsor this bill. Urge your support at the appropriate time.
Very busy this year. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we'll move this item to suspense file. SB 660, Senator Leno. Witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we'll move this item to suspense file. SB 682, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we'll move this item to suspense file. SB 718, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we'll move this item to suspense file. Moving on to SB 334, Senator Leyva. Witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we'll move this item to suspense file. SB 477, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we'll move this item to suspense file. SB 345, Senator Berryhill. Witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we'll move this item to a suspense file. SB 400, Senator Lara. Witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we'll move this item to a suspense file. SB 524, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Oh, support? Opposition. Please come forward.
Hi, thank you for hearing me. My name is Phil Ludwig. I'm a retired San Diego police officer and the CEO of Riverview Christian Academy. The bill states that over the 25-year period, there have been thousands of complaints, would average out to about 80 complaints a year, which is almost an endorsement of these private programs and NGOs. How many of these complaints were founded, keeping in mind that these are troubled teenagers that come in with issues? How many of these complaints were of isolated programs who were abusing the system and were eventually shut down? Source of depression, accusations of these programs traumatizing these children has to be kept in mind that some of these kids come in with these kind of problems, and so it would be unfair to blame these programs necessarily. I believe that this is a cost-prohibitive program where community care licensing is already overwhelmed and has not been able to follow through with their inspections of consistent programs that they already have. I believe that this is also a discrimination on the free faith and religion, that under community care licensing, we would not be able to be exclusively Christian or any other religious base. Parents need choices. Under Title 22, Section 8000A, a residential school is the only remaining entity that can be faith-based and care for children under the age of 18. We believe that this would be a religious discrimination on these type of NGOs. Parents need the right to choose a program of their own religious convictions. This would force parents to enter into a government-type system when they're really still under the parent's authority. Parents have all the liability but are being stripped of their authority to create safe boundaries and choose the program of their choice based on their religious convictions. This basically, the government's influencing on these NGO and private programs, I believe, is counterproductive. The place of accountability is already in place through Child Protective Services. If there's a complaint by a parent or a student, it is followed up with CPS or Child Protective Services. So this is unnecessary to put these NGOs and private schools under their jurisdiction. Community care license is already overwhelmed with their great responsibility. And I thank you for letting me share.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we move this item to suspense file. SB 673, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we will move this item to suspense file. SB 534, Senator Pan, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we'll move this item to a suspense file. SB 563, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we'll move this item to suspense file. SB 573, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we'll move this item to the suspense file. SB 536, Senator Roth, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we'll move this item to a suspense file. SB 696, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition. Without objection, we'll move this item to a suspense file. Moving on to SB 578, Senator Block. Witnesses in support, please come forward.
Olivia Regalia with Sierra Club California in support.
Witnesses in opposition? Without objection, we'll move this item to a suspense file. SB 665, witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition? Without objection, we'll move this item to a suspense file. Moving on to SB 635, Senator Nielsen. Witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition? Without objection, we'll move this item to a suspense file. SB 687, Senator Allen. Witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition? Without objection, we'll move this item to a suspense file. SB 725, Senator Hancock. Witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition? Without objection, we'll move this item to a suspense file. SB 779, Senator Hall. Witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition? Without objection, we'll move this item to a suspense file. Members, that concludes the items that have been waived.
794.
We are going to move to, what's 794?
Did we do 794? It's on the, right here. McGuire's bill.
We'll check. Oh, sorry, members, I skipped one over. It's SB 794, Human Services Committee. Witnesses in support? Witnesses in opposition? Without objection, we'll move this item to the suspense file. Members, we're now going to move, we're going to open the call on several items that have due pass recommendations, beginning with SB 622, Senator Hernandez. Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Nielsen? Aye. Nielsen, aye.
7-0, that measure is out. SB 64, Senator Liu. Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Bates? Leyva? Aye. Leyva, aye. Nielsen? Nielsen, aye.
6-0, that measure is out. Moving on to SB 358, Senator Jackson. Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Bates? Mendoza? Aye. Mendoza, aye. Nielsen?
Five to 0, that measure is out. Moving on to SB 561, Senator Monning. Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Bell? Bell, aye.
7-0, that measure is out. Moving on to SB 295, Senator De Leon. Secretary, please call the roll. Oh, before we do that, let's do SB 270. Senator Mendoza, apologize for that. Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Nielsen? Nielsen, aye.
7-0, that measure is out. SB 295, Senator De Leon. Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Nielsen? Nielsen, aye.
Wait, what's the call?
I'm sorry,
7-0, that measure is out. Next, we have SB 400. Secretary, please call the roll.
SB 482. 482.
Oh, I'm sorry, 482. Oh, yeah, sorry. 482. Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass to the Senate floor. Nielsen? Nielsen, aye.
6-1, that measure. Nielsen, I don't know. So,
Nielsen, no.
what is that? 5-2, that measure is out. That concludes it. Thank you, members. That concludes our agenda for today. And we adjourn our appropriations meeting.